Hey everybody, Z Garcia here, and today I'm going to be talking about Zooloretto, the dice game, and an expansion that lets you play with new scoring boards. This is Zooloretto, the dice game Trio. With these expansion pads, you are going to be able to play Zooloretto the dice game in 3 new ways. Basically, they are changing here the scoring sheet of paper that everybody would have. In the original game, this was it. And you would be collecting animals and scoring victory points for placing them in their specific pens, collecting money, avoiding penalties, things like that. I'm going to be giving you a real quick look at how this plays, okay? But in the expansion here, Trio, you are getting, well, a trio of pads with new ways to score, new ways to play. And these are minor variations on the original game, which is why I figured I would just clump them all together and throw in the base game as well, just in a quick overview, all right? So let's go ahead and take a look at this, and I'll see you on the other side for some final thoughts. So first, a refresher of the original dice game. You are going to be collecting animals into these different pens, scoring victory points for how many you've put in each pen, possibly getting a bonus as well if you are the first one to fill it, and then getting animals that overspill these locations down here in the barn, but canceling those negative points with coins. If you don't need to cancel them, then you can just turn those into victory points instead. This is the end of the game here for this board. And so 2 victory points there for 1 victory points, 4 elephants and the bonus there, 3 of these, and then 2 sets of coins. Nothing needed to be canceled, therefore 2 points for that. How do you get those dice? On your turn, you roll 2. You put them on any of the trucks you'd like, however you want. You can put them together, you can split them up, or once there are more things out there, like this, then you can instead take a truck. If you take a truck, you are going to take them, and you are going to mark those things on your board there. A game is going to be over when someone has everything, every animal enclosure filled, or all of them filled but 1. So in this example, someone else did that, and then you score everyone up, and that's the game. You've only got a limited number of dice, depending on how many players are playing. You would use all of them, or you remove 2 for only 3 players. You also use the other side of this, so there are fewer trucks. Once a truck is cleaned off, by the way, that player can no longer take for this round, but the other players, if they still have dice to roll, can repopulate that truck if they want. That's everything there is to it. So, the 3 new types of boards you can use. The simplest one is the monkey house. The monkey house looks like this. And they are going to change bonuses here. Some of them give you straight up coins instead of a bonus if you are the first one to complete that. And you are going to have 2 enclosures for monkeys. In the first one here, each animal type has a single enclosure. Here you have the monkeys repeated. Whenever you take one, you can choose which in which of the 2 places to put it. If you complete this one first, you get a victory point, a bonus one, or you get the coin there. And then same thing down here, though there is 1 extra set now for coins. There's a 3, a 2, and a 1, and a 1, whereas before, a set of 3, set of 2, set of 1. Everything else is the same. Scoring remains the same. Next up, we have the baby boom. In this one, you are going to have new areas after the original enclosure that might open up for you if you are the one that completes that group before anyone else does. So that's the first thing. Anything you see here crossed out means someone else filled up their flamingos in this case first. Whereas, you know, if it was down here and I get all the lines before anyone else, this is available to me, this extension. I can keep filling in the lines there. You also have the stars that show up. If you cross those out, you're going to get some bonus victory points down here for that. And then the hearts are the baby boom part, in which if you have 2 hearts crossed out in one section, the animals will make a baby and you get another one. You get to mark off another spot in that enclosure. Down here, the pens also work differently now, the barn rather. So you can put 1 animal and 1 animal only in one of these places. And then you are going to, later on, if you take any more, you have to put them in a different barn. You can, however, make one of the barns an infinite one, meaning any further monkeys in this case that I take would not penalize me, and I can just keep taking monkeys even though they no longer would fit up here, and just put them in that same one. If I have an elephant, and by the way, only one can be infinite, so if I have an elephant that I cannot fit, it goes down here. If I have another elephant, I'll just put it in any one of the other barns. Once they're all filled, which would be quite bad and unlikely, but it could happen, any further penalties I can just simply ignore. And then the coins are going to either cancel those penalties, or you can treat a set of them as 1 star. And the stars, again, become victory points. So 1 star is 1 point, 4 stars is 5 points, 5 stars would be 8 bonus points. Add all that up, that's your final score. So again, this one adds the babies, the star scoring, and it manages this down here much more differently. And then lastly, we have Zooloretto, the dice game XXL, which is this one right here. And this is basically Zooloretto, the board game, without the kiosks. That's the one thing that is not part of this, but everything else works pretty much the same way. In fact, they tell you you should play this one with a pencil and an eraser, because you will be marking things and then possibly erasing them, moving them around, things like that. I'll just give you a very quick overview of how this works, but again, they don't even include the rules to Zooloretto. They reference them, and they let you. They give you a link where you can go check out the actual rules to Zooloretto, because this is pretty much that game, almost 1-to-1. So you're gonna have 2 pens that you begin with. They do not select which animal has to go in it. You get to make that choice as soon as you put one animal in there, and then you can only put the same kind in there. If you fill it entirely, you're going to get the higher number here. If you're filling it all but one space, you get the lower number, such as with these elephants here. You have 2 other pens that are not open to you. You have to buy those with coins. First one costs 2, the other one costs 3 coins. And you will again select what animal goes in there. Once you fill one of these, you also get some bonus coins. And then down here you've got where you can keep track of your coins and erase them as you are using them up. And then down here is the barn, where you'll keep track of what animals are in there. In this game, besides rolling dice and placing them on the trucks and taking them, there are also coin actions straight out of Zooloretto. Those coin actions let you spend 2 coins and buy someone else's animal from a barn, for example, and put it somewhere in one of your enclosures. They get one of those coins. The other one simply goes away. You would erase 2 of these coins. You can also pay 2 coins and simply get rid of one of the animals in the barn, so it does not penalize you. You can also spend a single coin and move things around. So you can have animals, you know, switch places if they're getting too crowded somewhere and you'd rather put a different group and with another one. Then you would again erase, move the check marks, and mark again which animals are where now. And that's pretty much it. So at the end of the game here, for having each kind of animal, you'll lose 2 victory points. So having several crocodiles does not penalize me further. And the game's going to be over, this one, when someone has 15 animals, which is why you need to make further marks down here, even though they don't matter for scoring. But once someone has 15 animals, including the enclosures and the barn, then the game's over and you figure out your final score. And that's all there is to it. Alright, so let me talk about these a little bit more. I'll be foregoing most of my post-explanation discussion here. I'm going to pretty much just jump straight to tactics and strategy using these different pets. So the original game, it's short, it's fairly straightforward. There's a couple of tactical choices as to when you take trucks, things like that. But it's for the most part a very clean, simple system. The original ones mix that up a little bit. They don't all do it in the same way, of course, but that's what I'm going to talk about. So the simplest one of the 3 is definitely the monkey party over here. That's going to give you a little bit of a quicker way to get to some money, which is good. So you get money a little more easily, and then of course a couple of monkey enclosures, so you can that animal is a little more forgiving maybe. But for the most part, this is a very small step away from this one. It feels to me like what they did to Zooloretto the board game when they introduced a little more cash into the system. You know, that game originally was a really, really tight design, and a lot of the expansions, which were usually very tiny little expansions, got the cash flow going. This, for the dice game, feels like it's designed to do that, to get a little more cash influx into the game and allow you to, you know, cancel some of these penalties down here, that sort of thing. Focus a little bit on what you want to do. But again, I would not say this is really any more strategic in any significant way than this one, or even more tactical. It's about the same. So next up, Baby Boom. Baby Boom was certainly a step up from the original game here. I like the way that you want to race to try to fill something up, not because you get bonus points on the side, but because the pen where you're keeping those animals opens up for you and shuts down for everyone else, the extra, you know, space. I like the star scoring, that's cool. I like the Baby Boom part, that's also good. And then again, came from the original Zooloretto, you know, the big box game, in which some animals would allow you to have an offspring. So I like that as well. They've also revamped the barn scoring quite a bit, and I really like this new system, I have to say. I really like it. Now, it is confusing a little bit, because once you've made one animal the unlimited storage one, if you want to think of it that way, then the other ones don't really matter. So if you know, like I said in the overview, if you have an elephant, you mark that off. But if you get another one, well, it just goes in any of the other squares. So it's a little counterintuitive there. But I definitely would say there's more strategy in this and more just interesting choices than in the original game. So right there, this is certainly recommended. The first one, this one with the monkeys, whatever. This I recommend. And then lastly, we have XXL here, which really is much more tactically rich, I would say, than any of the other ones. There's a lot more going on here, a lot more game. Now, you are not getting the rules in this box, really. You kind of have to either know or look up the Zooloretto rules, and you're using almost all of them, except for, again, the kiosks. But playing on basically the entirety of Zooloretto almost on this little piece of paper with dice instead of tiles, yeah, but that's fantastic. Now, you're not getting the offspring. That's another thing that's not there, but it just works very well. You are going to need to erase and move things quite a bit, but I would say this one by itself is worth the price of admission here. You throw in Baby Boom with that if you want to keep it light and simple, because this one's, you know, a little bit of a thinkier game. But you throw in Baby Boom, and just these two together are a fantastic idea. I really like this one. So if you're a fan of Zooloretto, the big one, if you've never tried the dice game, you want something light, a quick diversion, I would say this is a fun one. But if you can get your hands on this trio expansion, I would certainly recommend that as well, because you'll be able to step up in complexity, play something with a little more going on, while still getting to chuck dice and have fun with that. And, you know, step it back down if you want to play something really quick and simple. Really enjoy it. So, yeah, Trio is a nice set of expansions. I would certainly, again, recommend you look into them. They're not revolutionary. They keep the same ideas of rolling dice. The drafting is largely the same. But I like that, once again, it merges a little bit some of the games in this line by bringing together, or a little closer anyway, the dice game with the board game. So there you go. Thanks for checking these out with me. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm Z Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com.